This is the video to set up a table from start to finish. You will need to open up a blank Word document. That's the first thing you're going to do. You will go to the group that says no spacing in the styles on the main heading, and you'll pick no spacing. The next step you will do is you go to the layout tab, and you will go to page setup on your screen. You will open up the dialog box that says page setup, and you will go to layout of this page setup dialog box. You will go to page, and you will change the vertical alignment from top to centered. Once you've completed that, I would like you guys to do your footer. In order to put a footer in for your document, you need to go to the Insert tab, and you'll go all the way across to where it says Header and Footer. You will click on Footer, and you'll click on blank number 3. In the first part of the footer, you will put your name. In the middle, you will write the name of the table you are working on. In this case, I'm going to be giving you the example of Broadway grosses. In the third item, I would like you to write period 3, or actually period 6. We are in period 6. Once you're done with that, you can double click on the document window to start your table. Your insertion key or your insertion point will be in the middle of your document. What I'd like you to do is to read the instructions from the setup on Google Classroom. In this case, we are doing a table called Broadway grosses as my practice demo example. I'm going to go to the Insert tab, and I'm going to go to the section that says Table. I took a few moments to count how many rows and columns I will need. I'm going to count my rows right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 rows. Because I have the table in front of me, I can count every row from the main heading, which is the title, all the way to the last entry. So I'm going to do 8 across, 8 down. Right now is all I can fit in, and 3 across. I have 3 columns. Now I'm going to start with the words Broadway grosses. Your main heading / title should be all caps. So I'm going to turn on my capital letters, and I'm going to type in Broadway grosses. I'm going to hit the tab button again, the tab button one more time, and I'm going to write the next heading, which is the secondary heading or title. In this case, it will be week, capital W, week ending, and I'm going to put the date. In this case, the date is in number format, and that's okay for today. Now I'm going to tab again, and tab one more time to just go to the third row. On the third row, I will do my first column heading. My first column heading will be production. My second column heading will be gross this week. You will notice, just like I did with the secondary heading and the column headings, I'm only capitalizing the first letter of the first word or the important words. So in this case, week ending, the W and the E, production, capital P, gross, capital G, this, capital T, week, capital W. Now that I have all 3 of my column headings, I can move on to starting my data entry. Before I move on to this, you'll notice my title, my main heading, my main title is not centered across the top, and I do need to change some stuff for it. So in order to make this Broadway grosses centered on my document, I need to merge 3 columns together. So I'm going to highlight the entire row. Broadway grosses, the next empty column, and the next empty column. I'm going to go to layout, and I'm going to go to the section that says merge. Now I've merged my columns to one. Now I need to bold, which is Control B, and center, Control E, Broadway grosses. I'm going to do the same thing for week ending and then the date. I'm going to highlight the entire row. I'm going to go to layout and merge, and I'm going to merge this column. I need to center it, Control E, and bold it, Control B. Now I do need to change my production, gross this week and gross last week, into a format that actually shows bold and centered. So I'm going to highlight the entire row, I'm going to bold and center. Now I can start my data entry. I'm going to do a few lines of this document right now. Wicked. I'm going to put my price number, and I'm going to write my numbers with commas between the amounts. This is $1,472,649. I'm going to tab over and do the same thing here. $1,468,400. I forgot my commas, so I'm going to go back and fix my commas. Tab. I'm going to do the next one. Lion King. You'll notice I'm typing from left to right. $1,291,898. Okay. Tab. Mary Poppins. $1,228,944. $1,191,101. I'm going to do a few more lines, and then I will show you how to fix your documents in a few moments. Now that I've finished as many as I could right now as entry-wise, I need to make some adjustments when I'm done. So pretend I am done with this table. Now that I'm done with this table for now, I need to do some adjustments to this table. So I need to make sure we actually have our source. So I'm going to go below the table, and I'm going to write the word source. And I'm going to write the website that I got my source from. Now, my source is an old source. This is an old example and demo, but it's something that I want you guys to kind of look at as an example for this document. You'll notice I put the source outside of the table so that it can actually be moved around when the table increases. So I'm going to continue typing out my table right now. And when you'll notice when I did my source, it will change my document. So I'm going to do Beauty and the Beast. I'm going to put the numbers right here. Now I have 14 lines that I need to do for this, and these numbers are not going to fit in this table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the following after I finish this one right here. I'm going to hit tab. I'm going to hit tab. When you hit tab now, it adds a new line. I'm going to do Legally Blonde, tab, and I'm going to put the amount that Legally Blonde made. I'm going to hit tab again. I'm going to do the amount that legal lien grossed last week. I'm going to hit tab again. When I hit tab again, it adds a new line to our document. The exclamation point is part of the title of this document, or the musical in this case. Hit tab again. Look at that. It keeps adding new ones. Now, all these tables should take a few minutes to complete. I'm going to make sure I save it after I get all of these done so that I don't lose my work. I'm almost done with this because I have one more or a couple more lines to do. You'll notice I'm not rushing through this. I'm making sure I'm writing all the information that I need and making sure I'm not making any mistakes. If you make mistakes, you can always go back to fix it, but it's also good to kind of take your time and get these done, and don't rush through this. That is the last Broadway play or musical that I'll be putting on this table. The next line is going to be called totals. Now the totals, when we do this, we're going to bold the word totals and we're going to align it to the right. Oops. Aligning to the right is a Control R. Now we are going to write the totals of all of these plays, and we need to put the dollar amount because all these numbers in these columns represent money. You'll notice I'm putting the 10 million amount in this column, these two columns. Now what I need to do is I need to make some adjustments now that I've finished writing out the entire table. So you can go back and actually make some changes here. So what I'd like you to do right now is make sure my numbers are aligned to the right. So I'm going to do Control R here. I'm going to do the same thing with my grosses. Control R. Now you'll notice that you have a lot of room right here that really makes it hard for us to kind of look at this. So I'm going to make some adjustments. I'm going to go here. I'm going to shrink this column just enough to make sure that Beauty and the Beast is on one line. I'm going to shrink this column to make sure that the gross this week is on one line as well. And I'm going to shrink this column, and I'm going to shrink it enough so that gross last week is on the same row. All right. Now I'm going to move my table over just slightly with my arrows, or drag it over just slightly. Yes, my source is a little off from this document, but that's okay because it at least shows my source. I'm going to try to center it on my page using my rulers to see if it's centered. This is the conclusion of this section. Now that I've kind of approved this project, I'm going to go to File, Save As, and you're going to save it something that you'll remember and find later on when you have to turn this in. Because we don't want to lose our documents. We want to make sure we find our documents for this class. Since I already saved this once before, I'm just going to save it as following. It's going to be Broadway grosses. You're going to put your last name and your first name. Hit save, and I've just saved my first table. Now this is an example of a table with the main heading and secondary heading in the actual table. I will be posting a video for how to start a table without having the main headings and secondary headings in the table.